Hey Gentlemen's Box, I'm Shane here with Dave Tier, our featured member for June 2017. So Dave, let me start. Your profile says that you're 27 years old.
Yep. 27, 52 Canadian.
Oh, I forgot about the conversion.
Yep.
So you're from Plymouth, Michigan, which is actually just down the road from us here in Royal Oak. What is something fun to do in Plymouth?
Well, residents of Plymouth call it DTP, downtown Plymouth. One of the coolest places locally to go out in the evenings. Great restaurants, great places to have a cocktail, music in the park, a lot of festivals. We'll never get my wife to leave Plymouth because of DTP.
So maybe I'll see you down there sometime.
Yeah, for sure.
That's great. So you've been a member since November of 2014, and that was actually our first month of the Gentlemen's Box. Do you remember what was in that box?
Cool socks, for sure. Every month there's a cool pair of socks, right? That's my thing. That's my favorite thing about it.
That's great. Tell me really quick, what is a fun fact about yourself? What's something that you want the Gentlemen's Box community to know about you, Dave Tier?
All right. I was into fashion before Gentlemen's Box was even invented. Nobody knows this, but I actually studied fashion merchandising in college. Somebody said you got to get through school, and I felt that was a fun way to do it. So I studied fashion merchandising in college, graduated in '87, and then immediately did not go into fashion. But I've always enjoyed it, and couldn't wait for Gentlemen's Box to come out. My wife had always been a member of a few different of her clubs, and I finally thought, at last we get one for guys. So it's pretty cool.
So what would you say, knowing your fashion background, what is your favorite accessory?
Well, it changes. It used to be, and it's funny because my son now, he's 22. My son's big into shoes now. It used to be shoes for me. Then it was, early in my career, it was ties. Because everybody was wearing ties. Less now, but back in the day, everybody wore a tie, and it was cool to have ties. Now, I'm telling you, it is socks. It's the coolest thing to go to work with fun socks on. So I think for me, it's socks.
Yeah, and I know neither of us are wearing ties, but I definitely am wearing some funky socks.
Oh, I have those. I just wore those yesterday.
So, what would you say being a gentleman means to you?
Oh, treating people right, leaving a lasting memory on people, doing the right thing, and treating people the way they need to be treated, and hopefully passing that stuff on to my kids.
Yeah. Do you think it's a lost art, the being a gentleman?
I don't know if it's a lost art, but boy, you sure can identify a lot of opportunities or a lot of times lately when it just doesn't happen the way people treat people.
Right.
And I don't know if reality TV plays a role in that, but there sure are enough instances where you really wonder if it's a lost art.
I think certain aspects have been lost, but part of what we're doing here at Gentlemen's Box is we're trying to bring back that lost art, and we're glad we have guys like you on our team to help us do so.
Thank you.
So, kind of like switching gears, what would you say is your favorite book, and why is it your favorite book?
I read a book early in my career as a sales coach called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And it's a wonderful story of a kid growing up in Hawaii that had his buddy's dad and his own dad, and his buddy's dad owned a business and was a street smart, hardworking guy, and actually taught him his money concept and how to be comfortable with money and talking about money, and he became successful because he had that dad. His other dad was great too. He was a professor, but he learned how to be comfortable with money and be comfortable with business from his rich dad. So it was a great book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Find it on Amazon.
Find it on Amazon. Right?
So that's actually a good segue too. So what's something that you admire about your father? Like you said in the book, he actually admires things, like elements from both of his fathers. What's something you admire about your dad?
It's interesting because my dad was a teacher and still is a teacher. He's 77 years old. He taught in Wyandotte for 39 or 40 years. Retired, but still subs. So here's what's cool about my dad. He has 2 or 3 times been asked by his students to accompany them at the superintendent's dinner. They get to pick a mentor. They get to pick somebody that was a fine influence on them, and they picked my dad, right? Last month, they asked him again as a sub. I mean, he's a sub. He goes in 2 or 3 days a week.
As a substitute teacher.
Kid asked him to do it again. School board wouldn't let it because he wasn't a real teacher anymore. But what a cool honor, eh? To be asked to do that.
It shows that he really helped make an impact on these students' lives, for them to keep asking him to come back even when he's not allowed to anymore.
That's my dad. He's great with the kids.
So as a father, what's something that you hope your child realizes about their own, like on their own, about parenthood?
Yeah, I see it too often. Just yesterday, I read a post about how a basketball coach up north quit coaching because of parents. They get too involved. So I hope like hell that my kids let their kids do it. And if it's failed, that's fine.
Yeah.
But put themselves out there and not get too involved in managing and be those helicopter parents.
Right.
I hope so. And it's just, it was a horrible story to have to read that this guy got out of coaching because of that. And I just think it's so popular. They want to live their life through their kids. You don't want to do that. Let your kids be kids and see what happens. Let them learn how to fail. See what happens.
Let them get knocked down and then teach them how to get back up with grace and style.
Right. That's it.
So what is something fun that you enjoy doing with your kids?
Well, now that my son just graduated from college on Saturday from Western, my wife and I enjoy tailgating with my kids, right? We have a blast. It used to be we'd watch them play in their sports. Mm-hmm. Well, now that they're adults, we go out and tailgate with them and have a lot of fun and take them out there. They're adults, right? Are they our best friends? They're our kids, but they're adults now, and they can be more friends. Right. So we really enjoy that. Love that.
But you still don't lose that element of like still being their dad, being there for them, and still parenting.
Correct.
But now it's a different dynamic that
big time.
You can really enjoy.
Yeah, he's interviewing for jobs now. I got to coach him through that sort of stuff. You know, he's taking the next step in his career. There's still a lot of parenting to do.
So you have 2 sons?
A son and a daughter.
Son and a daughter. So what is some frequent advice that you give them about being lady and being a gentleman?
First thing, I do this often. I look people in the eye and engage and have conversations. Be curious about people. Ask questions. Engage. I say do the right thing, but what's the right thing anymore, right? I hope like heck my kid opens the door for somebody. Mm-hmm. I hope he pulls somebody's luggage out of the overhead because she can't reach it.
Right.
This is the sort of stuff I'm hoping that my kids have gleaned from us growing up, and I think they have. All right, that's a gentlemanly thing to do. That's a ladylike thing to do. So
it is. It's good. So to switch gears, why is your style better than mine? I work here at the Gentleman's Box, and you were dressed to the T.
Well,
and I'm not.
I don't know if anybody can see, but if we start with the shoes, just work all the way up to the button down, right to the hair, right? You got that George Bush style haircut going on.
I'm going to get a haircut today.
Okay, that's good.
So you've been one of our longest members. What was your style like before you joined the Gentleman's Box? Was it anything like mine?
Well, no, it wasn't that bad. But like I said, I studied fashion merchandising. Yeah. Fashion merchandising, so I've always had an eye for fashion and accessories. Mm-hmm. I just always had to get them. Right now, I get a box delivered to my porch once a month, usually about the 25th, and I can't wait to see what's in it. From socks to tie clips to collar stays.
Let me make a note here that you're actually wearing our April 2016 tie clip, not on a tie. Why is that?
Well, 27-year-old fat guys don't look very good in skinny ties, so I'm clipping less ties anymore. I'm clipping lapels.
That's good. That's unique, and it reminds me too. We actually had someone share with us on our Instagram that they took a pair of socks from 1 month, and I think it was as a joke, and they put it in their suit coat pocket.
For their handkerchief, kind of?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool idea.
Would you ever put socks in there? Would you wear that to the office?
I could do that. Yeah.
So you said that you actually started out doing like fashion and merchandising, but now you do nothing like that. You're a sales coach.
Yeah.
So what is a sales coach?
Well, it's actually 2 things. There's a sales training element to it, where I go in and I teach companies how to stay in control of the sale, ask better questions, set expectations, really position their mind for what they really want to accomplish and think through instead of just flying off the seat of their pants like a lot of salespeople do. And then there's a coaching element, kind of like help desk coach from Dell, like the Dell help desk. I offer a sales coaching help desk element to it where they can call, email, or text for tactical, real-life sales questions in the moment, right? So I'm a trainer, but I'm also a coach.
So if someone's in the middle of a pitch and then they get stuck, they can say, hold that thought. Call Dave Tier.
Call a lifeline? I don't know if that's ever happened, but certainly before appointments and after appointments, when things are fresh in their mind.
So, how might one actually be a gentleman in sales?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, it was yesterday afternoon that I taught a session on what we call bonding and rapport. Right? How to really posture yourself in front of people so that they're comfortable with you, right? The stereotypical hard sell, convince, high pressure tactics don't work anymore. So it's an effort to embrace a consultative approach. Be curious and ask questions and really understand that people buy from people that they're comfortable with, right? So if you reach out and mirror and match other people and be comfortable with them so that they're comfortable with you, you're a lot more likely to be successful, right? And I think that's what gentlemen do.
Yeah.
Right?
So you mentioned to not really take that hard punch approach. Would you tell me like the least gentlemanly thing you can do in sales? It might be something related to that.
Yeah.
You have a chance to have a good story and you can share that's.
Well, I think everybody has their story. And all you have to do is go to sometimes it's a retail store, sometimes a car dealership, where for sure the salesperson's not listening to you, right? You know it because they want you to buy what they want to sell you. So I think the least gentlemanly thing you can do is to not listen to somebody, right? And just make it all about you. Right, and when you talk about what you want to sell, there's no way to connect with that person, right? It's not about what you want; it's about what they need. So ask questions, be curious, and get to what they need, right? That's what gentlemen do.
And I guess you could say that even it's not just in sales, but that applies to real life.
Yeah.
Listen to people, be engaged in what they say, and then actually have a real conversation. Don't just be a wall. Don't be one-sided.
That's
right?
what my wife tells me.
All right. Well, that's all the time we have. Thank you so much, Dave Tier.
Well, thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you so much for watching, gentlemen. And remember, look good, feel good, and be good.